So the first thing that we're going to talk about is stop letting change break you. And, I think this is a valuable point because I think there are a lot of times where people will get to a different crossroads in their life. I remember I got to that point last year when I went through probably one of the biggest changes since I had become sober, and I knew that I was going to end up splitting up with my ex. I was getting out of the military, and then I had to either, follow the same path that pretty much every other officer that was in the military does. And usually it's like they get out, they get their MBA, they go into some project management or consulting or whatever. And like, that's kind of like the path that most people go. And I remember being like 3 weeks out from my show, and I realized, my marriage was falling apart. It didn't really seem like it was going to be something that was going to last. And I remember finding myself thinking, what do I do? Like, how do I get out of this? And I knew the thing that I knew was to get where I wanted to go, that there was going to be a lot of things that had to change. But the problem is I didn't know what that would look like.
Yeah.
So, there kind of came a point where I actually had debated, do I actually do this? Is this a step I actually take? Is this a conversation that we actually have, and if we can't try to fix it, do I leave?
Yeah.
Do I figure things out? So what are your thoughts? Because I know a lot of people, when changes happen, instead of really just flowing with life and, kind of how it just all will tend to play out if you learn to let go and just kind of let things happen. I think a lot of people, they try to fight change.
Yeah.
And then when changes do happen, or even changes are kind of just put on them unexpectedly, whether, it be a death, a relationship ending, a job ending, and not even just like bad things, but could even be good changes too. I think a lot of people will kind of crack under those pressures. So, I mean, for you and like your experience, like where have been times where, you feel like you've fought change and you didn't want to let it happen, and it kind of just mentally messed with you?
A lot of times, to fight the change, especially like when I got really bad with my suicide attempts years ago, I was just struggling so bad. And I always really, I enjoy living and I enjoy life. There's a lot to live for, but, to battle that change of wanting to die, to end my life, several times in a 60-day period, being in a suicide hospital for 6 months, court ordered, I had to make a change, and I had to change in there. And I didn't want that change. I wanted to die, but eventually, it structured me to succeed and live.